Hey, welcome to Harnessing Your Wealth. Once again, I'm Billy Peterson. Thanks for tuning in today. We have a couple of great, fascinating guests for you guys all to listen to today. I think you're going to find their story to be very, very enlightening. We have Shawn and his wife, Angie Trujillo. We want to make sure that you understand where they're coming from. Shawn, you guys both live in Utah. Angie, you're very well known for being on the show, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Welcome to the show today.
Thanks, Billy. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, fun to have you guys. So just a bit of backstory. Also, Shaun Peterson's on the show. We can't forget him. He's here for our sidekick.
Yeah, don't forget me, Bill.
You know, throwing in the one-liners here and there. We want to make sure people understand where this came from. So I've known Shawn and his family for a long time. Mostly his dad, Johnny. He was a horse trainer back in the day here in Utah. And decades ago, I rode for him at the racetrack, Laurel Brown, which is now being torn down. Shawn, you were around a little bit during those times. I know you were kind of moving along in your career, but you remember those days, don't you?
Oh yeah. I grew up around it. You know, it was fun. Great memories. You know, me and my brothers talk about it all the time, how we were just able to kind of go hang out, bum around the track, have fun, and, you know, chew our Hawkins and just kind of hang out with everybody and be around the horses.
Yeah, Utah used to be a mecca for horse racing. It's kind of sad to see it falling apart the way it is. There's only one track left in the state here in Ogden called Weber Downs, but it used to be a real big deal here in Utah, and one of the areas a lot of great horsemen came from. So kind of the backstory on how I became acquainted with you and your family. And of course, now we have a horse together. All of us are planning on watching that thing compete. Irish Dancer is his name. And goes right along with the theme here. So let's talk a little bit about you guys and your life. And I know our listeners would want to understand from Angie's perspective, the show, a lot of hype and buzz about the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Angie, will you mind sharing like how you became acquainted or how you got the part to be on the show in the first place?
Well, it's a small team of women, so it's almost like you lucked out to get to be on a team of some pretty amazing ladies in Salt Lake that are you know, really embedded in the community, successful business owners. Shawn and I started our business 25 years ago, and we've really been involved in the community. We've done a lot of fundraising, community efforts. We're a big part of the Greek community in Salt Lake as well. And we grew our business from zero. So I think, you know, my story was great. I was self-made. I was a daughter of two immigrants that, you know, they also started from nothing. So I had a story that I think a lot of people could relate to. You know, some people coming to America and starting a life, you know, land of the opportunity. You know, my dad came here with nothing but a suit on his back at 17, and we lived in Holiday, Utah. I thought we were rich because we had a nice house and a nice car, but you know, my dad had one income and 7 kids, and my mom passed away when I was little. So we had a lot of hardships and challenges growing up. And I made my way. I wasn't really a great student in school, so I think my dad thought that I was going to be probably his his wildest child. But I ended up having a pretty great success story. And, you know, people, I think, love a success story and somebody that builds something from the ground up and somebody that comes from nothing and can become something. I think it's an inspiring story. Shawn and I were hairdressers. We were in the same industry. We fell in love in a little hair salon, and we grew our brand together. So we built a brand, which is also another hard thing to do. And it's outside of our own city. We've got locations outside of Utah, and we just made a name for ourselves in the beauty industry. So, you know, a big part of it is like, I'm hilarious. I always say I'm funny. I never had to depend on, you know, being good looking because I was very social and outgoing. And I think the biggest thing is I had a story of, you know, starting from the bottom and building something, and people can relate to a story like that. And people have also really loved to see the Greek culture and traditions from, you know, Greek Easter and different holidays and things that a lot of people didn't know about. You know, I can also relate to a lot of Orthodox people. So I think I really bring a lot to the show as far as substance, value, family, friendships. Yeah, I'm a loyal friend. And yeah, I think a lot of that stuff has, you know, helped me land this gig, and it's been a lot of fun. And they sought me out for an interview, and I guess I just checked all the boxes, basically. It's a show about successful women. It's a show about aspirational women, luxury, clothing, cars, nice homes, all that good stuff. And people love the surface stuff, but I also love that I can bring a lot of substance to balance all that out.
Fascinating stuff. How, you know, you women come together. Obviously, there's a lot of drama with the show because that's what brings people to watch it a lot. So there's a fair number of fights. I mean, I've watched some clips, some outtakes. You guys have to hold your own. I mean, you can't be a sissy on that show, right?
No. I come from a family of 7, so I'm used to fighting with sisters and siblings and trying to make my place be noticed in a big group. So that I definitely, you've got to be spicy, you've got to be fiery, you've got to be witty and quick, and you know, you've got to be able to have an opinion and stand up against people, whether you're friends or not. You've got to be able to stand up for yourself. Yeah. And it's not always easy.
Do you have friends that would you call them friends, or do you guys have, like, are you more awkward social acquaintances?
Well, I've got some really good friends on the cast that I truly care about, and they've become like family to me. I mean, you're on this journey together, and people you thought you would never be friends with, suddenly you've become one of your greatest friends. And there's always a couple that there's tension with. And, you know, I think that's part of what brings the drama. You've got different personalities, and some you're just going to collide with. And you know, you're going to have to either figure out how to coexist or how to become friends. Right. So the show is kind of about conflict and resolve. And I think it shows, you know, us working through conflict, us trying to figure out how to resolve things, how we do it, how classy can we stay, or or maybe we don't always handle it the best way possible. And it's impossible to always be perfect on this show and not come out unscathed. I mean, hours on camera, you're going to say things that you regret saying, there's no doubt.
Did they try to capture you guys in real life, or is a lot of the show kind of like, here's what we want you to do, and Shawn's involved in some of the showing, right? Some of the backstory. How does that look? Do you guys have your life kind of scripted out?
No, it's all real. It's all based on how you would handle things. It's definitely a reality show based on, you know, what you do, what you say, and in real time. And so, yeah.
Bill, I'm just thinking, what if we put some cameras in the office and started filming? Because there's some drama that goes on here that would be right up there. Could be a
really, really big hit. It could be good. We have a lot going on.
Go viral. I have a feeling.
We could.
Go ahead, Shawn.
Well, I was just going to ask, you know, what is that like? I mean, with cameras in your home or where you're out and about, like, do you notice, or is it just something that just you kind of don't notice as you've done this for so long?
You really notice it your first year. I think it takes a long time to get comfortable and just forget they're there. But all your best moments are when you forget they're there. It just takes some time to get used to it. But I think last year I definitely was overthinking and not as relaxed, you know. You definitely learn a lot as time goes on and just kind of, you know, forget they're there and just start to be your natural self. And I think that's when you're at your best on reality television.
Nice.
Shawn, how do you handle it? I mean, this is part of your life. This has obviously changed everything about what's going on in your household. How is it for you?
Yeah, you know, it's been pretty fun, you know, for the most part. And, you know, for me, it's been one of those things where, you know, when the cameras are going, it's like you kind of feel apprehensive for the first 5 or 10 minutes. And then after that, you just kind of forget they're there. So, you know, I've been able to adapt pretty well. You know, Angie does a great job. And like she said, you know, all of the content is really real and organic. And, you know, they're capturing conversations that we would have had she gone to an event, come home and downloaded with me, all of that stuff is just kind of like normal and status quo. So it, the fact that we're in a couple of seasons now makes it pretty easy to sort of just do that in front of the cameras.
Yeah. How has it been with your popularity? I'm sure your popularity has taken off since becoming a cast member and everything. And is it different going around public now, or do you have any privacy issues at all with you or your children?
I think people are pretty respectful, but it's fun. You go to the grocery store and you don't make it past the front door without people wanting photos. And, I think that's amazing. I really had no idea the audience and the span of the audience and the ages. And, you've got the 60-year-old guy and the, 25-year-old girl and teenagers and all of it. So it's also our own city. So we're representing our city. And I think it's fun for people to spot you around your city. And now, like going to Las Vegas and having people recognize you, it's wild. Yeah. And I've only really been full time for a year. So it's it's fun.
What's interesting too is she's representing the city, but we're finding just as much attention outside of we went to New York for something last November, and this girl's running down the street saying, Angie K, you know what I mean? Hi, Angie K. It's weird to be in different cities having that happen as well.
Well, and I do love people. So it's like, in my mind, they know me and I'm in their living room every week. So, I feel like I know them because they're fans. So I really love people. So I actually have enjoyed, it doesn't bother me. Maybe it's because it's new, but I really love it. I love the people that are fans of the show.
Yeah. Do you still go by your maiden name? Is that your Greek heritage?
Yeah, I kept my maiden name. I just, I was really attached to the fact that, my family had a great story and I was proud of my heritage. And, my last name was Greek. And so it meant a lot to me to keep it. And my daughter's name is hyphenated. So it's Electric Katsanevas Trujillo.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And you guys go back to Greece often?
Yeah, we have. We haven't been for the last couple of years, but we've gone back with my dad. We've taken Electra a couple times, and hopefully we'll be going again in the next year.
That's one place my wife is telling me I need to take her. So we're planning on it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And good food.
Yeah, that's what we're hearing. Cade went with Morgan, and they went on their honeymoon. So he got to taste it firsthand. We're planning on going soon. Kind of back to your life and what's going on. I know you guys are getting ready for another season and things are kicking off here. Going back though, I'm just watching some of these sound bites off the internet, and sometimes, I don't know, it feels like it's kind of brutal. Do you ever feel like you're attacked, and how do you handle that? Is that too much drama, or do you guys just kind of roll it off and let it go? So when you're attacking personal situation or your heritage or things like that?
I think, I was definitely blindsided my first season. I really, for me coming on, I feel like I had no idea that was going to be what my first year looked like. But the biggest thing I think is just, I always stuck with facts and truth. And I think if you do that, you'll always win. And I think, for me, I had to defend my family and my business. And I feel like a lot of people found a lot of respect for that. I realized after the fact. So yeah, that was huge. I never thought I'd be in that position because my focus coming on the show was to share my life, not really digging on other people's. So yeah. I was a little taken back, but I learned that if you just really stick with the truth, then you always win.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of those ladies are a little bit cruel.
Yeah.
A little sharp with the tongue too.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So with regards to how you guys are handling things and how you built into this kind of this business that you have. You both started as hairstylists, right? And then Shawn, tell me about the story, because somehow you guys created more than that. You developed and now you own multiple salons. Give us the backstory there.
So, I started out, early 90s. I was working in the tile business with my dad, and I was dating a girl at the time who was a hairdresser, and I was just like, I just did not like doing that. You know what I mean? I mean, from a creative perspective, it was pretty cool to see the finished product, but the work of it every day, you know, I just knew that that wasn't for me for the rest of my life. This girl that I was dating said, you know, you'd be great as a hairdresser, because I was pretty artistic. I drew, I painted, I did all the stuff that was kind of creative. And, you know, I went on the job one day and got my ring finger cut off. And I'm like, I am done. I'm done with this. And
Wow.
it's just like, you know what, I'm gonna give this a shot. You know, I'm gonna go in, not really with high expectations, but you know, started school, and from day one, I knew that this was for me. So, you know, I started school, finished within a year's time, and then started in the industry. And the first salon that I started to work at, actually, Angie was a client of. She was a client of the guy that worked next to me, and we became friends. Just you know, from a client relationship standpoint. And then, you know, I'll let her tell a little bit more, but she was also, you know, curious about the profession, and was asking me and a fellow hairdresser what we thought, is it something that we think she should pursue, stuff like that. And of course we endorsed it, and she started shortly after. So, and, you know, I think we were friends for about 3 or 4 years before we started dating, but, you know, it wasn't until she started working for the salon that I was actually at that we started dating. So.
Now, Shawn,
Yeah.
when you say you cut your ring finger off, this was on a tile job, not on a hair job, right?
Yeah, this was a tile job.
Using some
Okay, I was gonna
shears.
say,
I mean, that's
that would be
brutal.
a tragic haircut if someone
Yeah,
cut their finger
cement
off.
mixer.
Okay,
Yeah.
just
Cement
making
mixer.
sure I understood that right.
Yeah, we got tiled. I mean, I remember Johnny doing the tile, and then Trevor, your other brother, does tile still. No, he was doing tile. Now he's doing transportation, correct?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
he's into that. Yeah. Well, you guys have all had so many different like jobs, backgrounds. You guys have a lot of skills in your family, a lot of different things you can do. That's for sure. You've sampled everything. Angie, what do you want to add in on this story of how you guys, because this show is about harnessing your wealth. So I'm really fascinated with stories from people who started with, you know, they had to earn it. They had to build it. They had to have the work ethic.
Yeah, well, I think what you just said, work ethic, is a key, really. I mean, Shawn and I were both very hard workers. You know Johnny, and I think he was a hard worker, and Shawn's got good work ethic. And, you know, my dad being an immigrant, like, you know, he came to America to work for a better life. And also for me, like growing up without a mom and watching my dad work, my example was, you know, one parent that got up and went to work every day, even through difficult times. He was always like in survival mode. So I just learned from a young age, if I wanted something, I was going to have to get up and earn it and work for it. And I think the biggest key here is we found something that we both love. When you love something, I mean, you're getting up, it never feels like a job going to work. So we love the same thing. We were both hardworking. We were both passionate. One thing we did know, that failure was an option. Like, we never read any books about small businesses. We didn't really have any training. So not knowing that failure was an option was like the greatest gift for us, because we just knew if we kept going and kept going, that eventually we'd succeed. I think when you have a good team and a partnership, on the days one gives up, the other doesn't. And that's a huge key to success, because it's easy to give up and trying to build a brand or build a small business. And, you know, there were days where one of us would just be ready to throw it all away and frustrated, and the other one was like cheering on, like, we can do this, let's keep going. And I think that's huge. And that's really what kind of got us through that point where we kind of blew up in a good way, you know, is just getting through those hard layers, and finally made it to being an overnight success in 25 years.
Right.
You know, that's one of the things that I'd like to add too, is like, you know, for us in the beginning, kind of ignorance was bliss. It was not nose to the grindstone every single day. Our first location didn't even have a washer and dryer. So we were pulling the towels home, and, you know, we'd get home at 9 o'clock at night, throw laundry in, set our alarm at 2 a.m., pull it out, put it in the dryer. when it was just like, you know, there was some beauty in the Groundhog Day, if you will, you know,
Yeah.
and the beauty in that was positive, nose to the grindstone habits that compounded over time. And it was interesting. We had a party for our 23rd anniversary in business, and it was really the first time we kind of looked at each other. We were like, we've never really sat back and really took it in. You know what I mean? And like Angie said, it was, you know, 25 years to become an overnight success. But, you know, really what we have now is we're multi-location. We're in Boise, we're in Cincinnati. We're continuing to grow organically. We realized that organic growth was better than investor growth, that kind of thing. And, you know, we have a cosmetology school, we have a distribution company. It's all vertically integrated, you know, it works well. Each business works well with the other. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey. It's been a fun journey. And like Angie said, it's just, I think the biggest blessing is loving what we do.
Well, and I think just something that anyone successful does is you never get comfortable. You know, if you get comfortable, it's over, because there's always someone willing to come and take your spot. And we've worked hard for that. So one of our goals is just continuing to up our customer service, you know, making sure our people love where they work. We've always modeled, you know, we were never too good to pick up a broom or take out the garbage or serve our guests in the salon, even all these years later. So I think just really never getting comfortable in your business model, because we're in a really progressive industry. And even though we started at, you know, 25 years old and we're now 50 and early 50s, and, you know, things are ever changing, we've got to continue to progress with the times, whether it's like with technology, social media, you know, haircuts, you know, we're in the beauty industry. So it's very, you know, we've got to continue to be fashion forward and training our team. And, you know, we've got a really strong culture in our business. We learned early on, you have to have a vision for your company and be very clear with that. You know, we were never held hostage to employees. It was kind of like, hey, if you don't like it, you don't have to stay. We created a place people wanted to work. And if it wasn't a fit for them, we would cut ties with them, because your weakest link can bring your business down. And we learned that early on too. So I think that's a key point, is a lot of people, not just in the hair industry or hair salons, but in all businesses, keep people that are not a fit or are not happy there. And those people bring your entire team down. So, and your brand. So yeah, we don't really tolerate negativity or gossip, or even though I'm on a show about drama, we don't tolerate drama in the salon. We try and keep the environment positive and yeah, kind of weed people out that aren't a fit early on.
We happily let people go for gossip and things like that. You know, one of you know, just to echo what she's saying is, you know, psychological safety is very important in general, especially when you're spending more time with coworkers than you do with your family typically. So, you know, we really pride ourselves in that, and that's one of our hot buttons. But, you know, to the point of your show, you know, building your wealth, it's like, you know, one of the most stressful things as an entrepreneur is, I think the biggest stresses have always been around money, you know, and it's just like, you know, Angie and I talk about it all the time. It's like you wake up with it, you're with it all day, you go to bed with it, the stress, you get up to go to the bathroom at 2 a.m. and you're with it, it's with you still. And, you know, one of the things there is like, you know, I think if you're a good entrepreneur, you don't ever really stop worrying about that kind of thing. Even when you hit your own imposed benchmarks, you know, you set these financial benchmarks for yourself, you hit those benchmarks, but you still find yourself in the same mental space, you know, as it relates to your success. And I think for good entrepreneurs, it's just, you're always striving for more, for better. And it's just something that we put on ourselves. And it's just like, when am I ever going to feel like enough's enough, or what we're doing is good?
How have you handled that? I mean, with the mental part, with the stress, I'm sure the show is not is not removing that level of stress and tension. There's always more layers. How are you guys dealing with that? What do you do to find that relaxation?
Well, for us, the compartmentalization between the show and business has been really pretty strict between us. We do a good job of keeping the two fairly separate. The good part about the show is like, I look at it as more of a fun thing to do, even though there's some stuff, some drama wrapped up in that. It's just like, I'm too old to give a shit about that. I still really give a shit about the business stuff. You know what I mean? And that's our legacy. So that's something that we're never really taking our eyes off of. But it's just that ongoing, how do you realize the successes you have had and will continue to have? I don't know that I'll ever get to the point to where it's like, oh, I finally made it.
Sit back.
I don't think that ever happens, right? Yeah. So it's just how you manage the stress and some of the anxiety that kind of pops up in business, I think is the key, right? So always working on that, but it's day by day. Sometimes these challenges pop up in business and it re-engages your purpose as an entrepreneur. Sometimes things can be going pretty well, but a problem pops up and you're like, okay, this is great. I can think of a solution now, or come up with a system or whatever. So it keeps us creative in that regard.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we also protect our private time. Like, our daughter's sport, being an equestrian, that's a very full-time job as parents, traveling with her on our national show circuit lessons. So that's our family time, and it takes a lot of time, which is good. I think having purpose in other areas outside of business, and it's kind of like we're her cheerleaders, so we're following her, and her sport takes a lot. It's a full-time job, so it's good to have something else.
Yeah, anything with related to horses, guys, is a big commitment. Believe me, I just do softball, and that's not even close. When you got a horse involved, and I've seen all your posts, by the way, she's doing amazing. Yes. She's into jumping, right?
She's a equestrian.
Yeah, amazing accomplishments that she's had for her age. So,
guys, I didn't hear it mentioned, but what's the name of your salons? So everybody knows it's
Lunatic Fringe Salons.
Yep, I knew that, but I just wanted everyone to know what it was.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to get that. I was going to get to that, Shawn. You know that.
And I'll tell you why I know, because when my wife goes and I see it on the Amex bill.
Oh yeah.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's a good thing. I'm glad she goes there, but that's how I.
Oh my goodness.
I knew the name.
Are all of your salons called the same? They're all Lunatic Fringe?
Yeah, Lunatic Fringe. Yeah, we started a franchise company about
2005 or 6.
And we opened in 99.
Wow. How many employees do you have? Or are they W-2 or are they 1099? How does that work?
We're an employee-based business, and we have around 200 employees.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a pretty big organization, guys. So a lot to run on with everything going. I have a bit of understanding with that, just running my own businesses, but when you're talking 200 employees, that's a whole another level of additional issues. And with that, I'm sure you have to find people that you can rely on, because you can't micromanage everything. You have to be able to delegate, right? Have you been able to find those key people?
That's a great point, and we've been able to spend, it was really when we had Electras, when we realized that we needed to have help. Angie wanted to be a full-time mother. She was still engaged in the business, but really wanted to stay at home. And, during that time, it was an interesting transition for me to kind of take on what she was doing, because we were 50-50. I mean, we've done everything together 50-50. She's got her strong points and I've got my strong points in business. But, the transition of kind of taking on what she had left behind was an interesting dynamic, and it really kind of slapped us in the face in terms of like really building a team around us. And the good part is we've been able to do that. We've been able to do that with people that have worked for us, and had been with us, just kind of pulling them up and growing together. And it's been quite seamless. I mean, we've had some interesting learning opportunities along the way, as you do with growth. But, what was great about pulling people up with us that were already with us, was that they understood the culture. They understood what we were going for, the vision. They helped us, really solidify the vision for the company. And we've got just an amazing team right now that, honestly, like Angie and I go there and it's like, we really don't need to, but we love to go in and talk to our teams, number one. And then number two, just spend time with the guests that support us. But yeah, we have just an amazing team.
That's great. That's
kind of
key.
worked ourselves out of a job.
Do you miss that part, the hands-on part at all, or do you enjoy where you're at now, just overseeing?
I'll let Angie speak for her, but I think we're kind of aligned in that, it's still fun to go in and just see guests that have been coming to us for 20 years. I still see some of my early clients with other stylists and stuff like that. That is just so fun to go in and see that. And then just really being able to spend time with some of our stylists that have been with us for 17, 20 plus years. That's, to be able to go in and spend time with those people, that's just, that's tons of fun. So we go in there specifically for that, but it's been, we've had to transition to more of the 30,000 foot view perspective, really just kind of continue to work on it instead of in it. So when we go in, it's more to play. And when we're not there, it's, that's when we're really hyper focused on innovation and trying to find different strategies to do things better. And, customer service is at the top of that list right now.
Well, I think, I'm super creative and it's been fun there's like a season of life that I look back and think, wow, that was fun being behind the chair all day with people, but it's nice to evolve into a different position in the business. And for me, it's been nice to have the show now, to have something new. I think I get bored easy, I guess, just being a more creative personality. So it kind of keeps the fire going, I guess.
Yeah.
Did you notice an uptick in business when the show started and you were on? Did it change things or same?
It's been the same, huh? I mean, some people come in and, they ask if you're there, they call and want to book an appointment when you're there, but we were already kind of at max capacity.
Most of our locations were at 90% productivity before the show started. So, Angie there are people that call in and say, like Angie uses a couple of stylists specifically, and they'll call in to get with them because they do her hair or whatever. But, in terms of a major uptick in business, we haven't really, we were already maxed out. So it's kind of interesting to say that.
Yeah, you were there.
That's a good problem to have. We're already maxed out. So,
with regard to, I know you started on the show. When did you start on the show? Was it 2020 or was that the very first season?
Started as a friend though.
Yeah, my first full-time season was last year.
Okay.
And so I guess like 2022, I came on part-time.
Okay. So you guys were still, building out your business or wherever in 2020, which was, let's say that was a year we'd all like to forget, with what happened across this country, across the world. We have our own opinions on, I would call it overreach, with regard to certain public policies that were handed down to business owners. You guys were business owners through that. Tell us about the challenges that you faced during that period.
Boy, that was an interesting time. When we first heard the closures coming down the pipeline, I started to hear from staff, single mothers, people that were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And it was kind of a 50-50 situation. And, where there was a lot of fear related to what was happening. There was a group that they didn't want to come in and expose themselves, and then there were the single mothers, people that were providing, the sole provider of their families that were like, oh my God, what's going to happen? What are we going to do? So me and Angie made the decision to remain open, not voluntarily closed, but remain open. until they made us close. And we did that. And, we eventually got the phone call that said we needed to shut down. So we did. The great thing about having parents with a ranch is we were able to pack everything up and head to New Mexico at the time. And we quarantined there with my brothers and my niece, nephews, and the kids had no idea what was going on. They thought they were on break, on vacation.
Well, and I think as far as business goes, it was like the unknown. Three months of not being open for us was like, are we ever going to open again? Nobody gave us a break. Our rent was still due, $25,000 here. Our mortgage was due here, $15,000 at this salon location that we're buying the property at. We've got another salon location where the lease is $15,000. I mean, it was like these big giant bills stacking on stacking on stacking with zero income. And of course, being integral, we wanted to make good. So we kept paying our bills with our savings. We provided personal loans. We personal loans to employees, to people that have been with us that needed to keep putting food on the table. Unsure if we'd ever open our doors. And that was a funny thing that was even brought up on the show, was like someone brought up like a taxi and I had during COVID, because we were using our money to pay all of our other bills to stay alive until we, opened our doors back up again. So, we're not just like a little tiny shop. I mean, we're a multi-million-dollar business with hundreds of employees. And it was a really difficult time. And the craziest part is we were on a trajectory for like our biggest days ever. The Tuesday before we closed, we had our record day in history. And we were like, wow, look at this like trajectory we're on for growth. And then all of a sudden a pandemic hit and we closed our doors. But the coolest part is we are in a booming business that is recession proof. And the minute we opened our doors, we were back up and running within a couple months. We satisfied our, all of our bills. We basically came out thriving and doing better than ever. And we're beyond grateful for that because, our employees still have jobs. Our doors stayed open, our businesses stayed open, and it's a blessing. And we feel grateful. And I think our clients felt grateful to be able to get back in there and get their hair done. And, they look in the mirror every day. And that was something that was hard for people to go without.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just like to kind of add something there as well, is like, we say we're in a recession-proof business, but when you're facing the unknown like that, it's really not about recession at that point. It's about, you having to close based on the lack of business. But, I just kind of want to paint the picture of like, what you go through during that time when your business is closed. And I mean, thank God I had the ranch. We were building fences and we just worked our asses off. I worked my butt off to just try to forget what was going on over there. And thank God I had that, because had I been home and quarantined inside of a home for that period of time, I probably would have went crazy. But even having all of that stuff going on that you could utilize to kind of take your mind off of it, your bed still, your head still hits the pillow at night. And it's like, oh my God, am I going to have a business to go back to?
Right.
And just like Angie said, I mean, we had just sold a house, we had some savings, and it's just like, before subsidies were even a thing, we had just come to the conclusion that we were going to give personal loans when people needed it, friends, family, whatever. And we were able to do that, thank God. And like she said, we came out smelling like a rose. And I think what certain times like this do is you obviously get back to the basics. You put the microscope on your business. You start to try to figure out like where you can optimize and, trim fat as well. And when we reopened, it was just gangbusters. They only let us open at 50% capacity. Mm-hmm. And what we did was we rallied the teams together. We came up with an idea to do a double shift at 50% capacity. So rather than the 9 to 5 or 7, what we did was we opened up at 7 a.m. and stayed open till 11 o'clock at night, swapping shifts. And so we were able to put our 100% business in 2 shifts, and everybody was thrilled. at the prospect of that.
Wow.
And, you know, it really catapulted us. And really those times also sort of, you know, and I don't want this to sound strange, but, you know, some of the businesses that shouldn't be in business kind of went out,
Mm-hmm.
and it really catapulted the ones that do business well.
Yeah. You can stay in.
That's a good point.
Well, because I think people were thoughtful about where they spend their money after that. I mean, if they were going to spend their money, they wanted value and they wanted to make sure they received the best experience, because everybody was holding on to their money a little bit tighter after that.
Mm. Yeah, it was a scary time. I mean,
Yeah.
like you said, people that weren't efficient didn't make it back at all. So even with what happened, just trying to figure our way through that, I think it showed us all that we're not immune to situations that can come our way, whether rightfully so come about unfortunate event, or just come about because we get some kind of government overreach policies that kind of go beyond what we had hoped they would. That was a difficult period of time for a lot of businesses. Many of them like never opened again. You guys have thrived. Congratulations, staying where you're at and not only building it, becoming even more successful. With success comes a lot of responsibility, as you guys would attest. What businesses do you guys support for your hair salon? We're interested in that because we're big investors and manage a lot of money at our firm, and sometimes we're looking for investment ideas. We have a few companies that we have in our investment models. I'm just wondering if you guys support any particular hair product companies for your salons.
We're in business with Paul Mitchell, so we in our cosmetology school. So that's a product. We're partners with John Paul DeJoria, who owns Paul Mitchell. We are in partnership with L'Oreal, with Kerastase. Those are some of the bigger products that we do carry. Shuamora. Those are probably our main top selling products that we have a really great relationship with.
I see. Do you guys ever have, I mean, you mentioned that you have a distribution network. So do you ever have any of your own products that you brand with your own name, label?
We haven't gone down that road yet. That's a tough game to get into.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if anybody could do it and have automatic revenue generator, it'd be us. The only problem is like once you get past what your own business can sell, it's the scaling process after that that's difficult, because there are thousands and thousands of lines.
Yeah.
You just end up being one of those products within those thousands of lines. And, it's really difficult to create some kind of a point of difference, in this day and age to really sort of catapult you past that. And I just don't see just kind of selling to ourselves enough of an incentive to do that, to go down that road, because it takes a lot of cash to
big investment
and keep those SKUs. And then you get into the warehousing and distribution side, just for yourself, which is another beast in and of itself. But
sure.
But yeah, the one thing about our company is we're very in tune as hairdressers as to what performs. And, hairdressers in a premium service environment, we're really specific about getting products that perform. So, we stay really committed to that and committed to the innovation and making sure that, our team stay really excited about what they're using and what they're selling. Because at the end of the day, if you kind of keep that in mind, it keeps you growing. So.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. With kind of spinning back to the show and getting close to the end here, but what do you want to tell listeners out there? Why is this show worth watching? What's going on behind the scenes that you can tell us that's interesting?
I'm never really allowed to give any behind the scenes anything away, but I will say, there's always interesting, dynamic shifts in friendships. I think
one of those cast members is no longer on the show. right?
Yes.
Monica.
Right. Correct.
She's not on the show anymore. Did you have a good relationship with her or bad?
No, she's no one I would be friends with in real life.
Okay.
No. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to put it as politely as possible, but
I think as far as like why to watch is like, you just get a lot of, it's all about chemistry in terms of friendships, and that chemistry can create some big highs and some big lows. And I think the excitement of that really is engaging, and that their chemistry just continues to grow in that way. And it just, man, it's funny how you stay glued to that television.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and I think, it's a show about real friends, that's why the cast that's on remains, because they are real friends and there's real chemistry. And when someone's lying or being trying to, be untrue to, or to, make up a fake character to be on, like people will sniff that out. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a reality show about real people, about real friendships, about, real true resolve and conflict. And even though there's some wild moments in there, these women that are still on actually truly care about each other, and they want resolve. They want to work it out. And, if you come on the show to just take people out, like you're going to be on an island, and, you won't come back, because again, it's a group of ladies that truly care about each other.
Should go be on Survivor. That's where she wants to be.
What's that?
You should be on that show Survivor. It's the last one standing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got to be smart, I mean, being a feisty, strong, standing up for yourself, you've got to be all those things, but at the same time, you have to remain a real friend.
Shawn, do you have Shawn, do you have relationships among the husbands of the cast members, or?
Yeah. There's a couple guys that, I mean, outside of filming, we don't communicate much, but when we're together, they're great guys and just good old boys where you can hang out and just talk about whatever. And not a ton goes on between us in terms of the dramatic side of things, but it makes it comfortable for us to all come together and be in certain situations.
Nice. Well, you're all dealing with the same stuff, so I'm sure you can relate to one another's. Cameras on. Yeah. By the way, what watch you wearing today, Shawn?
You know what? I'm not wearing a watch right now.
Wow. Oh, wow. Yeah. I know Shawn here, who's on the show with us, is salivating every time he talks about your watch collection. He's into watches big time.
It's his Monday, and when he goes to the gym, he doesn't wear them. This is the only day he's not wearing a watch.
Yeah, Shawn, I met you out at the All American. I think we met on a Friday, and then you had Cade and myself out to your home, I think on a Monday or Tuesday for the premiere party. Yeah. And I'll be honest, I was real intimidated. Like, what are we getting into? And when we got there, everyone was so friendly. And Angie, I met you for the first time, and you were so friendly and welcomed us. And it was an awesome experience.
Well, it was fun having you guys.
Yeah, you have a beautiful home, and we did sneak in and see the watch collection. So we were stoked on that. That was awesome. And
did you make sure all your watches were accounted for after they left, Shawn? Just making sure one didn't slip away.
I do like to trust those guys.
Man, I mean, we had a good time out of the All Americans sale. I don't know how many Crown and Cokes we ended up consuming, but it was quite a few. Anyway,
those races, huh?
Yeah, and they may want to send the cameras out to Los Alamitos for the premiere of Irish Dancer coming up in the Edinburgh trials and hopefully finals. That would be a great show to have. No, that's the horse we have as partner. We're all partners. Okay. We're all partners. Johnny get there.
Beautiful horse.
John, Randy Young, Dennis Jensen, Lex Fabrizio.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's a good group of people. We're looking, hopefully we can all celebrate together. Right.
Well,
Jeremy's in on it.
Don't let Shawn fool you. Electra's the real owner of the horse.
Right.
I'm sure.
Right. Exactly. Well, it'd be fun. Hopefully we'll have a good time with that horse this year. So looking forward to seeing you guys at the races.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll be watching the kickoff of the new season. So now we're all kind of like fascinated with what's going to happen. Interested to see where the dilemmas develop.
It's going to be a great season.
I'll bet it is.
We're excited.
Well, congratulations for the success
Thank
you
you.
guys have had in your life and being on the show and all that's going on with that. Tell your daughter congratulations for her world of equestrian events and everything she's accomplishing.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks for
Appreciate
joining
it.
us today.
Thank you all.
All right.
Thanks,
Take care
guys.
now.
See you
Take care then.
soon.
All right,
Bye-bye.
then.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us today for Harnessing Your Wealth. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions, you can certainly reach out to us and we'd be happy to answer them. If you have questions for Shawn and Angie, we'd be happy to relay those over as well. Until next time, y'all take care out there.
Thank you for listening to Harnessing Your Wealth with Billy Peterson. Before we declare the race official, please click the follow button so you can be notified when new episodes become available. For more information about today's show, please check out the show notes. Visit our website at www.petersonws.com or give us a call at 801-475-4002. Once again, thank you for listening. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Peterson Wealth Services. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.